This is Support is Sexy, episode 295, with comedian, actor, and author Kim Coles. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. Happy Monday. I'm so excited to have you here because it just would not be the same without you. And you know, if you are ready to finally create a sexy business and life that you love, go to createsomething.sexy.com to apply for my high-level mastermind for women entrepreneurs who are serious about taking their businesses and their lives to the next level with support, accountability, and action. That's createsomething.sexy.com. Open enrollment ends this Friday, September 1st at midnight. So make sure you go, check it out, createsomething.sexy.com. Now, I have shared this before on the podcast, but I think it bears repeating. I feel so blessed by the women who come on the show and share their space and their time with me. And of course, as a result, share that space and time with all of you and tell their stories, especially the not so pretty parts of their stories, right? We all have that part, but we don't always share that. Hopefully I create a space for that, but I am so proud and know how blessed I am. And hopefully all of you feel this way to hear the stories of women who go through trying times and who are able to share how they got through those times. And I think this is something I'm really reminded of when it's someone who is either quote unquote famous or well known. And such is the case with Kim Coles. Kim Coles is an actress, comedian, author, someone who we loved for years on Living Single, a show that was groundbreaking in the 1990s, a fantastic show. She co-starred with Queen Latifah, Kim Fields, and Erica Alexander. Truly a fantastic show. And in this episode, though, Kim talks about the time that she went through after the show was canceled. It was on air for several years, but she really goes into detail about that time and how she struggled to really get through that time. And it's something that we can all relate to, even if you're not in the entertainment industry. Have you ever been through something that's a truly high time in your life and then it ends and then you're like, now what? Kim talks about that and how she got through it, all of the gifts, a key word for her, that she learned throughout that time and how she got through it. So again, I am just so grateful for all the sharing. I really appreciate all of the women who come on and do this. But today, Kim, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. So some of the other things that you'll learn from Kim on this episode are the importance of staying relevant and ready, the role gratitude plays in healing, the value of a great therapist, why you don't have to be a quote unquote guru to share your story, how to lift as you climb, how to get over the idea that you have to do it all alone, because, you know, we're all about that around here. You do not have to do it alone. Kim's powerful definition of gifts, and her top tips about getting into the entertainment industry as an actor. And what I especially think is important about that is she talks about staying true to yourself, ways to stay true to yourself, which isn't always easy to do in the entertainment business. So I'm excited to share this episode with you. But before I do that, one quick note, make sure you listen all the way to the end. Well, I know you listen to the end, right? This is for everybody else. Make sure that you listen all the way to the end because Kim mentions an event that she has coming up in October in Cincinnati, Ohio, October 7th, actually, the She Was Made Summit. And we have discounts of 50% on tickets from the founder, Gail Lee Gardner. So thank you, Gail, for that. 50% off tickets. Go see Kim at this fabulous She Was Made Summit that's coming up in October. So I will have that code for you at the end. But for now, I want you to focus on the fabulous Kim Coles. So Kim, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being on Support is Sexy.
Thank you so much, Elayne. And what I haven't told you yet is that my mother's middle name is Elayne.
Oh, so I love that.
I have an attachment to that name. So
Excellent.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So first question, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
Well, it's interesting. I fell in love with it when I thought I became one, and I'll explain. I thought I became an entrepreneur in around 2009, 2010, when I discovered the internet and marketing online and marketing your business or your coach or your coaching or your speaking or whatever you market online. So I thought I was an entrepreneur then. But I realize now, Elayne, that I've been, as an actor, I'm an entrepreneur. As an actress and a comedian and an author, that is entrepreneurship at its best, because I'm a free agent. I work for myself. Sometimes I work for ABC or NBC or Fox, but most of the time I'm working for myself. Kim Coles is my brand, and I realize I've been the CEO of brand Kim Coles, and I was aware of that, but I didn't take that on as oh snap. I'm showing my age by saying, oh, snap.
That's fine. I say that too. I say snap and dope and all that stuff.
Yes. I didn't take that on as a, oh, snap, dope experience until about 2010, I would say. So I hope I answered the question. I have a tendency to answer questions that haven't even been answered, but I embrace it because it's about control. And I don't mean control as in holding on to something. It's about embracing the power and the control of being an entrepreneur and being able to make many decisions on your own.
What was it that you feel happened in 2010 that sort of caused you to have that shift around the idea of I'm an entrepreneur, or someone who has, control over her own?
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is. I had gone through a really difficult time up until then. Like 2007 was just before the crash for everybody else, but I crashed in 2007. And I say that to say that after leaving Living Single, after the show got canceled, I went through a really difficult time and actually a depression. Let's call it what it is. Lost my mojo. And I knew that I had something else left inside of me, but I thought because especially after you've been on a hit show, it's really hard to reach higher than that right after that. Very few people do that right after. I worked some, but everything I did paled in comparison is what I should say. So anyway, I sort of went into a deep depression, and we can talk more about that, going into financial ruin, and what that means is I shopped all my money away, and I wasn't making enough to replace it. So there you have that, and it was starting to, I came to a place of healing by coming to a place of gratitude, which we'll talk about. Gratitude is a big deal for me, and I think it's a big deal for all of us. And through that process of coming through gratitude and coming through asking myself, what are my gifts? What can I do even if I'm not on a TV show? If that's over, what else can I do? And beginning to look at the internet as a way to go, okay, well, number one, I would say I started speaking. I started just sharing my story of coming through a difficult time and how I came out of it. And sometimes I finished crying 5 minutes before I went on stage to speak to people. And I think that I've really came to embrace it and understand it when I started playing online and playing with what I could build and how I could keep myself relevant and ready while waiting for a TV show, and relevant and ready despite booking another TV show. And so that's when I fell in love with entrepreneurship. I found people who were doing similar things or who were teaching things that I could use to keep myself relevant. And I think that's what we all want. I don't necessarily need to be famous. I just want to be significant. I want to have I want to have, I want to serve. I want to share from my gifts and help other people find theirs. And so I don't have to be in a sitcom to do that. There's 1,000 other ways I can do it. So that's the long answer to your question.
No, that's a great answer. And thank you so much for sharing, so openly that part of your journey. It's interesting. That was one of my questions about Living Single, which ran for 5 seasons from 93 to 98, right? And I was going to ask you what it was like, which you just mentioned, going from, it was a huge show, hit show, huge show, impactful show, and going from that to whatever's next, feeling the pressure for the quote unquote next big thing. And you just spoke to sort of having that feeling. So you mentioned that you were able to come through that time. What were some of the things that you did in order to help you through that transition?
Well, I had to fall all the way down. And for me, falling all the way down was being very depressed, shopping myself out of everything I had, really getting down to what I like to call the last mortgage payment, the last house note, and the last hair weave. The reason why I tell that part of the story is because the truth is somebody would let me sleep on their sofa if I lost my home. Somebody would give me a ride, and we don't really have a very strong, so this is before Lyft and Uber and all that, right. There's a very strong even public transportation system in LA, so somebody would give me a ride. But if I couldn't get my hair done, then that was tragic, right? And so I really went into a terrible depression. Like I said, I really got to that place of even considering suicide. I just thought I'm not worthy. I don't belong here. Nobody wants me. I didn't have a man. I didn't have a job. Just whatever all that is. And it was actually gratitude that brought me back. It was actually a great therapist. And an article that I found in Oprah magazine. And the article was by a woman named Susie Welch, who has a book of the same name. The name was 10-10-10. I have it on my bookshelf, but for me to get up and go get it now would mean interrupting the interview. I don't want to do that. But it's called 10-10-10, something like how to, ways to look at your life or solve problems or something. And I'll just give it to you in a nutshell. Susie Welch suggests that you should look at any challenge or any problem that you have through the lens of what would happen if I made this decision or that decision. What would happen in 10 years or 10 months or 10 weeks? Like, you just look at the future, the outcome of the decision that you made. And so when I'm sitting in this den and I'm depressed and I'm having suicidal thoughts and I'm running out of money, I remember saying to myself, so you can sit in this den for another 10 minutes and it won't affect the rest of your life. In fact, it's almost nighttime. Just go ahead and go to bed. You can sit here for another 10 hours if you want to and wallow in your grief and your pain that you're not working and you don't know who you are anymore. You've lost your mojo. But you can't do this in 10 weeks. You can't do this in 10 more days. You can't do certainly in 10 more years. And so focusing on what my future could look like if I continued to stay in this space was enough to shock me out of that. It at least put me in a new mind frame. At least put me in the frame of saying, and now it's time to get some help. I gave myself that other 10 minutes, and I think I went to bed and spent another 10 hours being depressed. And then I gave myself an hour of just saying what would happen if I got some help, and I did. And gratitude is the thing that helped me. I found this therapist who was spiritual based or spirit based. And she said, I want you to start keeping a gratitude journal, to which I thought it was the most ridiculous thing. Like, didn't you hear me tell you I'm depressed? I ain't got to be grateful.
Fix this.
Please.
Right.
She said, keep a gratitude journal for 30 days. Write 5 things every day that you are grateful for and just watch what happens. And day by day, minute by minute, I started feeling better and better and better. And not at first. At first, I love to tell people I cheated. Like, I would write, I'm happy for the 5 fingers on my left hand. I'm happy for the 5 fingers on my right hand. I'm grateful, whatever. And then, the next few days, you have to start being grateful for your parents. You have to start being grateful for your baby brother. You have to start being grateful for the sun that shines. You have to start being grateful. And all of a sudden, I found myself being less blue and more grateful for what still was there. The truth is, I didn't lose my house. I still had a roof over my head. The truth was, I still had food to put in my belly. I still had friends who loved me. I still had my talent. I still had my intellect. I still had my heart and all these other amazing things that no matter what state that you're in, there is still something to be grateful for. And expressing that, I think what happens is God says, okay, you like the sunshine I sent you today, and you like the 5 fingers on your left hand. Wait till you see what I'm going to send you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You're grateful that, you have a stale piece of bread to eat today. I'm going to send you something else tomorrow. You grateful for that? Wait till you see what I got for you. I really think that happened for me, because at the end of the 30 days, I kept going with this. And people always ask me, were residual checks coming in at that time? And they were, but I would go and shop them away. Mm. And I remember I received a residual check that was enough to keep my home, enough to keep my car, enough to get my hair done, and enough for me to say, I'm not going to go shopping this time. Not this time. Mm-hmm. And it shifted things for me. It shifted the trajectory I was on. And I started saying, if I'm going through this, then other people must be going through this. And that's what I meant when I said sometimes I was crying 5 minutes before I went on a speaking engagement. Or I'm going to say this to anyone who's listening who thinks that they have to be a guru sitting on top of the mountain before they can lead and serve and help. And the truth is, I think we lift as we climb. And I was sometimes climbing up the mountain and saying, I just learned something 5 minutes ago that shifted me, and I want you to learn it too. Come on along with me. I'm going to lift you as I climb. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing that shifted everything for me. And the quote that I believe is Zig Ziglar's, who says, you can have anything you want if you help people get it.
That's right.
Yeah. And I remember going like, oh, so I can't be selfish anymore? Like, I can't think that this is all about me, not being on a TV show no more? You mean I got to go out and help other people? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And it worked. And I've been doing that ever since. Wow. And so I see this, it's about learning to receive, and it's learning to give in a fresh new way. And would I love to be on another TV show? Yes, I would. I had an audition just the other day. Had some other jobs. I mean, not everything sort of pales in comparison to Living Single, because it's Living Single. It was an iconic show. But I've even stopped comparing it to things. It stands on its own as this beautiful, yummy thing. And maybe something else will come along that will be equal or better. But that's not what matters. What matters is I found myself. I'm on a journey to find my best self. And I am really adamant about and really passionate about helping others find their gifts in various ways. And unlocking that unlocks everything you need for life. That's like the secret of life. I feel like I've found the thing, mm-hmm. because I'm on a quest to find that thing and so much more.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And there's so many lessons in there. So let me see if I can remember one of the things I want to make sure to highlight about the gratitude practice, as you mentioned, which is so powerful for the people who, just as you said, you were in the beginning, were sort of skeptical about it. I try to tell people the power of it isn't just in the gratitude, or at least I believe, but it really shifts your thinking so that you focus more on the things that you have to be grateful for. Yes. Do you think that? Yeah. So it's not like it's this magical thing that I'm going to say thank you for this, piece of candy, and all of a sudden there's going to be an abundance of candy. It's just shifting from the things that you can be miserable about, which might still be there, and shifting your focus to this yummy piece of candy is something to be grateful for. So for people listening, just to know, just as you mentioned, maybe you are skeptical about it, but try it. Go through the practice, and it's a practice, right? You have to continue to do it. Yes. Continue to do it.
Yeah, the magic is, here's where I found the magic. I started looking for things to be grateful for.
Right.
Because I had this task of 5 things every day. Mm-hmm. And she said, and don't repeat anything. I'm like, man, after you grateful for your fingers and your toes and your eyelashes and your teeth and like running out of stuff I said, I need to look for it. And when you go looking for it, it's about the perspective. Mm-hmm. And it's starting your day off going, I'm expecting joyful miracles, kindness, smiles from other people, abundance, money, health. I'm expecting. You go into life having that positive expectancy.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore more shows up because it's already there.
Right.
So that delicious piece of candy you're eating, there's so much more candy in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and so much more because you're looking for it. Like, I had a delicious piece of candy and I'm so grateful for that piece of candy. And you look around and like there's so much more to be seen, to be had, to behold, and then to be sharing with others.
And I think too, in mentioning about being on Living Single and the period that you went through after that, for some people, it's not a hit show, but maybe it's the big job that you had that's no longer there, or the marriage that is, no longer there. And you're sort of thinking, how am I going to move on past this or beyond this? So for people to think about that, we have these moments or seasons. I just went through this. And as I mentioned to you before the show, being from New York, living in Brooklyn, loving it, and then moving to Atlanta, now being back here, I realize how much I miss it. But I'm making sure that I don't get caught up in, sort of glamorizing the experience or longing for the experience of the past of being here.
Yes.
That was great. It was for a season, and something else, better, more new, interesting is to come. So for people listening to remember that as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And another thing you mentioned, because you said so many wonderful things, Kim, I'm keeping notes here, as you can see. Another thing that you said that is crucial and important for all of us, for all women, and especially women of color who forget to do this, the importance of seeking support, which is what we're all about, getting help.
Listen, it's so important. And I don't know where we got off thinking that we had to do it ourselves,
mm-hmm.
all by ourselves. I don't know where that came from. It might be worthwhile investigating that. I don't know if it's part of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Not to tell anybody your business.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows anyway. They see you. They see how you doing.
Right.
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's the myth of the strong Black woman. Now, I'm not saying she doesn't really exist. And she does exist in you and in me and in all of our sisters that are listening. But the strong Black woman, there's that puts out an energy of, I have to do it by myself. I need to stand by myself, and I won't be strong unless I stand on my own.
Right. Or for it to count, I have to do it alone. I think in the age of social media, there's that too.
Yes. And I was a victim of that as well. And I find that you are stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
You are stronger when you have collaboration. You bring something to the table. I bring something to the table. And now there's more on the table.
Right.
I have really, the last few years, I have really gotten into this collaboration, not competition thing, and forming incredible, they call it biz besties now, your business besties. These girls who, and I see a lot of millennials doing it. I love it. These girls who maybe one girl is like sort of a copywriter, and maybe another girl is like a branding specialist. And then they band together and create webinars and courses and books and experiences. And they are stronger. The sum of what is the phrase? The sum of the two is
some of the now I lost it. The sum is greater than the sum of all parts. I have to Google it now, Kim.
The sum of parts are greater than the whole or something. And there's nothing, actually it shows extreme strength to reach out and say, I need help. Because, and this is something that someone taught me too, that you have no idea how much you are blessing the person who is willing to help you. It may be that they were supposed to help you with something, and that's part of their journey. And so I do a shout out to all the strong Black sisters. And yes, we could do it for ourselves. We could do it all by ourselves. There's no doubt.
But we don't have to.
You don't have to. And it makes you exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a seminar, and the person in charge was talking about that. And this is going to be a little radical, but I'm going to go here. She suggested that it's very possible that women are having, this is going to be so radical. I hope you can edit it out if you want to.
No, go for it.
But her thing was, she feels that women, that part of the problem, the possibility of the problem of our infertility issues may have to do with that energy of thinking we have to do it all, we have to be it all, we have to have it all, we have to be a boss lady in the corporate environment. We have to be a superwoman at home. We have to be a super duper mom. We have to be the best wife ever. We have to be the best cook ever. And like all of this doing is actually causing just shifts in our DNA and in our body and in our systems, because we're supposed to be receivers. And she just says that I don't wonder if the lack of sleep and the working too hard and the get is causing us as women to have our health be at risk, and in particular our fertility be at risk. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit radical.
Exactly. No, it is. Thanks for mentioning that. I think, of course, I'm no doctor, but I will say I do believe that with all of the things that you mentioned about Superwoman here, I always say we need to retire the Superwoman cape, but Superwoman here and Superwoman in the bedroom and Superwoman at work and all that stuff, it leads to stress. And stress is the cause of a lot of things, including, I don't know if infertility, but people, unfortunately, having miscarriages and all these other kind of problems. So I do think in that way, I could see there being a connection there. But I agree, too, that, we're all supposed to be, we're tribal people, all of us as human beings, right? And supposed to be connected. And again, as we mentioned, this idea of doing things on your own, I'm very passionate about. My saying for Support is Sexy is having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Right. So yes, I love talking about that and just pushing all of us, and women especially, because as we mentioned, this superwoman ideal and being a boss and being flawless, and I'm exhausted. I need some help.
I'm so tired. I have to say, I still wear my super shero cape, but I take it off and make it a blanket every once in a while.
Get other people come under it.
Cover myself up and take a little nap, and then spread it out and have a picnic on it. So I like to do other things with my superwoman cape.
That's right.
And here's the other thing about it. There's something that you do, Elayne, way better than me. Why shouldn't I employ your help to go, you know what, girl, you are so good at XYZ. Mm-hmm. Can you help me by doing XYZ, and I'll give you ABC, and together we've created the alphabet or whatever it is. Right. I think we're stronger together. So thank you for carrying that message forward, and thank you for embodying that message. I think it needs to be heard more and more and more.
Absolutely. Now that book, I looked it up, and I'll make sure for everyone listening, I have a link to it. 10-10-10, as you said, a fast and powerful way to get unstuck in love, at work, and with your family.
Boom.
There you go.
Everything through 10, and I adjusted. I think hers was, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years. Like I was at critical mass. I needed 10 minutes ahead to go, how am I going to even survive the next 10 minutes? And so it was really powerful. So yes, thank you so much for linking that. Thank you.
Of course. And another thing you mentioned too, in what you said earlier about this idea of us waiting until we're an expert in something before we share our story and our experiences and that kind of thing. Something a friend of mine has said that I repeat often. I give him credit sometimes. But he says, you're an expert of your own experiences.
Absolutely.
Right? I love that. Yeah. So many of us are waiting until we're, whatever the guru status is. I don't even know how you get that, but until we are called a guru, or as you said, or other things, before we share the power of our own stories. Mm-hmm.
And you have no idea how much you can empower, enlight, empower, educate, and help someone, illuminate something for someone who may be going through the same thing as you. And, I would tell my story, and it sounded like a Hollywood story, but just like you did a few minutes ago, everyone has a moment of loss, a moment where they thought they were supposed to have something and they had something else, or they were removed from something, or something was removed from them, or they had to go someplace else to get something. And that's the journey of life. And I thought it was a Hollywood story, and I had many people come and hug me and go, "You just told my story." You just bill collectors calling my house. Well, that happens for a whole lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, they knew who I was because my name really is Kim Coles. So I've had bill collectors go, "Is this Sinclair?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm broke."
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget, that helped. I no longer fear any bill collector ever calling my house ever again, because I remember more than one would say to me, "Don't be ashamed of your situation. I'm working here part-time because I got some bills to pay." I was like, thank you. So we all go through it in this beautiful human experience, and you do not have to be all the way on the top to share your story. And I really believe that you don't even have to share I know there's so many of us who don't want to share our story, like they want to keep secrets, or sometimes your story involves someone else. It would be outing someone as an abuser, or outing someone as not kind. And I do think there are ways to share your story without sharing all your business. I actually have a couple of courses in which I help people tell their story. I'm really big on people telling their story, whether it's as a speaker or as a presenter, or in your case, as having this wonderful podcast. I think when we share our stories, we have other people witness us, and we give other people permission to be all right in their own stories. And so I'm just very passionate about that.
So how do we find out about the courses? Is there something I can link to for that as well, for people who are interested in finding out more?
Yes. The page is not quite linked right now, but it is called My Story is My Gift. Mm-hmm. And I will get that linked back up again so that it will work properly. Because what I do is I don't launch it until I'm ready to launch it. Mm-hmm. It's called My Story is My Gift, and I have another course called, there's My Story is My Gift, and then there's Speak Your Gifts. And I have a thing about the word gift, obviously.
We're going to talk about that. I have a question on that.
A book called Open Your Gifts. So Speak Your Gifts, and My Story is My Gift. And probably, depending on when this begins airing, I will have that all linked up for people. Or you can go to my website, kimcoles.tv, and the information will all be there as well.
Okay, excellent. So now, speaking about Open the Gifts, is Open the Gifts or Open Your Gifts?
It's actually Open Your Gifts, but there's Open the Gifts too, but that's another story.
Right. I saw the video of Open the Gifts where you talked about what gifts stood for. So tell us about that.
So gifts is actually what came out of my depression. When I was freshly healed, and I don't know that we're all ever healed. Everything is a journey. But when I really got it together, I realized I was so busy looking for my gift out there. My gift, I thought, was a TV show. And I realized that my gift is what's inside of me. And in exploration and in therapy, I found that my gift is love and laughter. And my other gift is reminding others that they have gifts inside of them. And so I decided to make GIFT an acronym. And the acronym is gratitude, intention, forgiveness, triumphs, and self-love. GIFTS. Now, gratitude being the first piece, which we've already talked about, having a gratitude practice is key to finding what's inside of you and living your best life. The I is for intention, which I like to call spiritual to-do list. And intention is just who you be. And yes, I know I said it that way, who you be and who you intend to be, and also getting in inspired action in your life. If there's something that you want, something that you desire, something that you need in your life, you have to take action towards it, but it has to be inspired towards what you really want. Just kind of like that 10-10-10 thing. When I put my eye on my future, I need to take some action in order for that future to happen the way I'd like it to. So that's the I. The F is for forgiveness, which I need to do quite a bit of that work at the time. And we all need to forgive past, old, hurt, pain, things that don't work and work for you anymore. I love saying I forgive my crazy ex-husband and I forgive myself for marrying him because I was crazy too.
Right.
And then forgiving yourself for any so-called mistakes, and I am making air quotes right now, mistakes that you feel that you made in your life because they weren't mistakes. What if they were just lessons? What if they were just, stepping stones to the lessons that you need to have? So forgiveness is huge. The T is for triumphs. And that's all about celebrating yourself where you are, celebrating your achievements. How big or how small doesn't matter. Taking time to celebrate yourself, or as I like to say, bake yourself a cake, put your candles on it, and blow your candles out yourself. Celebrate yourself. Mm-hmm. And the S is for self-love, which is what this is really all about. All of it is all about self-love, and it's all about taking great care of yourself and treating yourself as if you are your own best friend. So I believe if you look at those pillars or those key elements, you will start to unlock your gifts as well. Yes.
And you have a journal too, a gratitude journal that you've created around gifts, right?
So that's my first self-published book called The Gratitude Journal. And you can get that at openthegifts.com. And what it really is it's a little bit of a journal, but also a little bit of me sharing my experience, and then showing you how you can get your own experience, how you can begin to create your own gratitude journal. It really is the beginning of everything. Just be grateful for what you already have, and other abundance will present itself to you, as we talked about. And then I have a new book called Open Your Gifts, in which it's an anthology with 22 other women, all explaining how they found their gifts in their lessons. And let me say this. I think I look at gifts in 3 different ways. It's the gifts you have inside of you that your divine gifts, like the gifts that God, when you were born, said, and now you will have this and this and this. Go forth, my child, and do and be that. And then there's the gifts in the lessons, like the challenges, the funky stuff. I go the yucky stuff that you can turn into yummy stuff by looking at the lessons that you came through, the challenges, how you became a survivor, how you came through, the lessons that you learned, even the most difficult stuff. You go, why did this happen to me? It happened to you because you're supposed to help heal it for yourself and help heal it for others, which brings me to the third piece of the gift. Is the gift that you give away. It's what you've learned, the advice, the wisdom, the warnings that you have within you that you now share with others to help them on their journey. And so that's my 3-pronged approach around the experience of having a gift and being a gift and giving your gift away.
Do you feel like our gifts can evolve over time? So, for example, with you, did you always know that you wanted to be a comedian and an actress when you were growing up? Or is that something that developed later? And then now, of course, you're doing something, still incorporating your comedy and acting or delivery to people in your speaking. But do you feel like your gifts have evolved from who you were before and who you are now?
They have. And actually, my sense of humor, I grew up watching great comedians on TV. I was a fan of Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball. And when I found Whoopi Goldberg, I absolutely fell in love. And even Richard Pryor and Moms Mabley, Marsha Warfield, and just I keep going and going and going.
Where did you grow up?
In Brooklyn. How you doing?
You grew up in Brooklyn?
I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Flatbush.
You are not. I did not know. I'm glad I asked. Oh, okay. All right, girl.
Oh, yes. So when you mentioned Brooklyn just now, I was going to ask you where did you live?
I was in Bed-Stuy most recently. Yes, on Stuyvesant.
Now, haven't they changed the name of Bed-Stuy? Isn't it like Stuyvesant Heights or something?
Parts of it is supposed to be Stuyvesant Heights. Whatever. It's still the Stuy.
I cannot with the new Brooklyn. It's way too fancy for me.
Exactly.
I'm from Flatbush myself. And so, well, I'll say this too. Also growing up in Brooklyn, you'll understand this is such a colorful, wonderful place. You could walk down the street and walk through several countries.
Right.
Your way to the
several languages. Exactly.
Yes. I grew up eating different kinds of food and being able to say different words in different languages and being able to curse in different languages. It's just a rich culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so I grew up around that, but not really funny myself until I got to high school. And it was actually a survival technique. I was a fluffy little girl. I was a chubby little girl. And, well, I take that back. I got fluffy in my teens, like from like 12 on, I started gaining weight. And I remember looking at the landscape of high school going, oh, this is not gonna, the fat girl never has a good time in high school. She does, this is not gonna bode well for me. I'm gonna be called fat. They're gonna tease me. And so I thought, if I make them laugh with me instead of at me, then I can turn this all around. And so I did. I would tell funny jokes and put M&Ms in my nose and do funny walks and talk in those funny accents that I had heard on the way to the D train going to school every day. You know, so I'm a pretty good mimic, and I can hear accents and I could imitate things. And I absolutely won friends and influenced people by being funny. So it was natural. It must have been in me. My mother is very funny, and I get it from her, but I didn't start expressing it until high school. And I dropped in and out of college about 1,000 times. And one of those times I dropped out of college, I entered into a beauty pageant for plus size women. I was like, let's make this work for me. And they called me and said, we're going to have a talent competition in the beauty pageant. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I made up a comedy routine about beauty pageants, and I won first runner-up. And that's the night that I discovered that I should be doing stand-up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. I love this. So it was a growth experience. It was something I used. It was a technique I used to win friends and influence people. And by the way, I teach people this in my speaking courses. Like, you can use humor to engage and empower and bring people on your side and to educate. I mean, you can use humor is
to disarm people.
Yes, it's a wonderful tool, and if you happen to have it naturally, it's even better. And so that's the answer to your question, that it's something that it came out of a necessity, and I didn't even know I had it. And who knew that it would earn me money one day? So, and who knew that it would become really rooted in being, it was obviously a gift that just needed to be unpacked or unpacked. Yep.
And then how did you end up going from Brooklyn to LA? Was there a straight path? Well, not straight. Was there a path directly from there to LA?
I'll tell you what it was. It was In Living Color. It was auditioning. I actually went from Brooklyn to the Bronx, married husband number one. I'm currently on husband number two. It'll be the last one. I believe so. I really believe. I'm believing that. I'm claiming it. I don't want to be.
We're grateful for him. Gratitude for husband number two.
This is the one I've wanted all my life. Trust me. So, so I just wanted to say that there was a brief detour to the Bronx, to the Boogie Down, as we call it. But what was I saying? So I auditioned for a show called In Living Color. And that was the show that took me to Los Angeles. I probably would not have moved without a job in my back pocket. And I was only on the first season of that show, but that then led to everything else you see. So, yes.
Very nice. So now you mentioned that you help people in sharing their stories and talking about their gifts and all of those things when you do your speaking. And I know you have an event that's coming up October 7th, right? The She Was Made Summit, where you're the keynote speaker in Cincinnati. Is that that's on your schedule, right?
It is on my schedule.
Okay,
I was like, October, that's 1,000 miles.
I know. That's why I mentioned it. Like, is that on your schedule yet?
It is on my schedule. That is in Cincinnati on October 7th, and I will be speaking, and I'll be bringing my book, Open Your Gifts. And I love that stuff. You know, I would love, like I said before, I would love a TV show, and I hope I get another one. But there's nothing better than showing up as me, meeting women where they are, and getting a chance to look up on their beautiful faces, tell my story, hear some of their story, and whatever it was I did in that depression, to come out of that depression, led me to these events like the She Was Made event in Cincinnati, and it makes me so happy.
What would you say to any women who might be listening who are thinking about acting or who might be in the business now and either, struggling to get that part or making a transition out of acting if they've decided that it's not working for them anymore? Just what would you say, or maybe even to your younger self in getting into the business?
I would say no matter what, stay true to you and who you are and what your personal values are, and that your no's are just as powerful as your yeses, and that what is meant for you will be yours. I really try not to look at too much competition now, and I go like, that role was meant for her to have. I'm meant to have what I'm meant to have. Mm-hmm. So several things. It's number one, stay true to you. Know where your yes and no line is, and try not to push past it, because when you do, you won't be happy. The day that you take something just because of the money will be the day that you just don't, you're going to want to go home and take a long shower after that day, because it's just like, this doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And if it feels like a hell yes, go do it. And, just be authentically you. Like, I have survived this business by being authentically me. In a business that would tell you you need to be young, you need to be thin, you need to be this, you need to be that, I have remained Kim Coles. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of that. And maybe I would have gotten more if I looked like someone else, or if I did something to my body, or if I did, maybe. But I got what I got, and I am what I am, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. So be happy with what you have. Improve where you need to improve. I'm not saying you should just never, try to grow and, make changes that you think are really necessary for you to make. Not like, I need to get a new nose job because that producer told me my nose was too big. If you think your nose is too big, then do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. But your nose is perfectly fine, and there are pretty people with big old noses working it.
And the next producer will be like, your nose is so small.
Let me tell you a story. I was on a show after Living Single got canceled. I was on a show that only lasted a year. And I remember, we have incredible breaks in show business. Like, there's usually a nice break for Christmas. Most sitcoms, at least back then, would work. You'd work 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And I would always use my week off to exercise and try to lose like as much weight as I could in that 1 week. And given that Christmas break was coming, I remember talking to someone, and the producer overheard me saying, like, during the Christmas break, I'm really going to just go on a real strict diet because I can, and I'm not going to gorge myself. I'm going to exercise every day. And she stopped me and she said, please don't change yourself for us. We hired you, and we love you as you are. If you want to be healthier, if you want to exercise and move your body and feel good about your body, that's on you. But do not change anything about you for us. We love you as you are. And it was so powerful in an industry that has changed. So many people have gone through pain. Listen, I was on diet pills when I was on In Living Color because I thought I needed to be thinner. No one there told me, but I was told, drop a few pounds by a few people who said, if you're going to be in the business, you're going to need to be thin. And so I got myself hopped up on diet pills, and it was not fun. And all in me trying to look like something in a fast way. The way to have done it would have been to eat healthfully and exercise. And so I'm saying this to say that there will be people who want to change you, and there will be people who will love you as you are. And the number one person who is going to love you as you are is you. Mm-hmm. So you love up on yourself. If you support yourself, then the universe will support you, will rise up to meet you. And so, I don't know, that's some of the tips I would say. And always do your best, just do your very, very best. Show up with your A game every chance you get, and then you'll never be disappointed because you go, you know what? I gave my best.
That's right. And you never know what's coming.
Absolutely.
I always tell people you can't script it. When you ask someone that's done whatever they've done and you say, did you ever think that you would go through XXX?
Yeah.
You can never script it, right?
No.
Now, I heard that Queen Latifah is working on a reboot, if you will, of Living Single. Are you in discussions with them about that, or is that rumor?
I
or wishful
heard,
thinking for all of us.
I mean, I saw, if you're talking about the interview she did on Andy from Bravo show,
Yes.
that's all I know. I mean, this is what I tell people. I have been neither contacted nor contracted. So I've spoken to all of my other castmates, and none of us have heard anything official. So I know that she made that announcement, and sometimes I'm so mad at her. I'm like, you left the rest of us to answer the question, when's the show coming? So I don't know. Maybe she's planning something different. Maybe she's planning like a reboot with a whole new cast. I have no idea. So
Fingers crossed.
So, say it again. Yeah,
we'll see what happens for all of us wishing to see it again.
I would say this. I know for sure I would happily return to Sinclair and do a redo, whether it was for a one-shot deal or a couple of episodes. And so many shows are doing this. Listen, I just auditioned for the new Will and Grace. They're coming back. Isn't it crazy how much of a pioneer that show was too at its time? And now it's a perfect time for it to come back. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, me too. I'm so excited for them.
No, I'm excited for you.
Well, I didn't get the role, but the good news is I heard that they did away with the role for now. Like they just decided, we don't need this. Goodbye. I was like, man, that was my shot. So, so the answer is I would say yes if there was a Living Single reboot of some kind. There's no official talks, or no one has talked to me about it. Like I said, I don't know. And like I said, I shake my fist every time somebody says that. And that mocking, like, oh, that Latifah.
Right.
I'm sure she will call when something is ready to go down.
That's
I'm sure
right.
she will.
I believe she's working on it.
Let's take a quick break to thank our sponsors. So, as an entrepreneur, and especially as a solopreneur, you want to make the best use of your time. And I know for me, with booking guests and having appointments and consultations for Support is Sexy and the podcast, I don't have time to be going back and forth with everybody about scheduling. And that is why I honestly love and use Acuity Scheduling. I've been using it for about a year now, and it has saved me so much time when it comes to booking appointments and guests for the Support is Sexy podcast. In fact, I would not be able to do it without Acuity Scheduling. I love it and I use it. And I was so happy when I reached out to them and they were excited about supporting the Support is Sexy podcast. And I spoke to Kristen Barber, customer happiness specialist, who tells us about Acuity and a special offer that they have just for Support is Sexy listeners.
So normally, if you go to Acuity Scheduling and sign up for a free trial, we have a completely free 14-day trial, no card, nothing. But for all of our lovely Support is Sexy listeners, we are giving you guys 45 days totally free. So if you follow the link that Elayne gives you, you guys can get signed up 45 days, totally free. Check out any plan you want. So the highest one, whatever you need, and we'll just let you know when that's coming to an end. And you can either then put in your card info and keep rocking that account that you're on, or you can even just downgrade to our totally free forever plan. If you don't need some of the major bells and whistles, you can use that puppy completely free for the rest of your life, however you see fit.
And that URL is acuityscheduling.com/sexy.
That's right. We'll be keeping an eye out for you sexy ladies.
Again, that URL is acuityscheduling.com/sexy. So that's ACUITY scheduling.com/sexy. Make sure you check it out. It's well worth it. A 45-day risk-free trial. And look, we want to make sure that we support the brands that are supporting women entrepreneurs and Support is Sexy. So check it out at acuityscheduling.com/sexy. And now back to the show.
What would you say your support network looks like now, Kim?
Oh, so I have a mother who is just lovely and supports me and says lovely, positive things all the time. So it looks like my mom, and it looks like my old high school girlfriends. I went to Brooklyn Tech downtown. I'm still in my good girlfriends who I can call on, and we take up exactly where we just left off, whether it's 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago or 2 years ago. So I have them and they have my back. I have what I call now these biz besties, these women who are soulful, yummy entrepreneurs. They're so beautiful, each and every one of them, and they don't even know how beautiful they are in the way that they want to. I mean, beautiful on the outside, but more importantly, beautiful on the inside in the way that they want to support and lift each other and share knowledge. You know, I have people who charge thousands of dollars to consult, and we'll just get on a FaceTime audio and hash ideas out. And so it just looks like that. And then I have my husband, who is also so supportive and in a different way. My husband is extremely intuitive, and he will give me his feeling on something. I have a man who's actually a testosterone-filled man who is very in touch with his feelings, and he's on my side for decisions, and I can go to him and say, what do you think of so-and-so? And he'll go, I don't know if that feels right. You know, go ahead and do it, but I'll be here if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. And so having that support is lovely. It's lovely.
It sounds lovely. So in closing, Kim, if you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
That's not fair.
I know it's a tough one.
I would thank my mother. I not only did I get my sense of humor from her, I got my sense of love from her. She loves people. She loves the world. She has a loving, joyful spirit. So I would say thank you for my loving, joyful, funny spirit. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
So now tell us how we can support you. I'll have links to the things that we mentioned throughout the episode so people can find it. But so people can hear it, where should they find you? Social media, anything else you want us to know about?
So my website is Did I say too many W's?
www3. Yep.
www.kimcoles.tv. My newest book can be found at openyourgiftsbook.com. openyourgiftsbook.com. And on social media, I'm Kim Coles everywhere, except on Facebook, I am real Kim Coles because somebody was pretending to be me.
Mm-hmm.
She had set up a little fake page being Kim Coles, and they wouldn't let me have it. They wouldn't let me, whatever. I'm like, I'm going to get around this. I'm just going to be real Kim Coles.
Kim Coles.
And Facebook is where I hang out the most. It's my jam. It's my jam.
Okay.
And what else? That's that.
And I noticed on Facebook, speaking of that, quickly, you mentioned there was the latest video I saw from you. You mentioned that you had a lot of things coming up that you were excited about. Anything in particular that you wanted to share? Or were you talking about the book and the courses and those kind of things?
Yes, I was just talking about all of that. I'm hosting. I'm going back to Brooklyn next week. I'm hosting the LOL Comedy Honors with Bill Bellamy. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to do a book launch in Atlanta.
That's right. I'm going to come see you.
Ding, ding, ding. In September. And October, I've got the ladies in Cincinnati. She Was Made. And lots of other personal appearance gigs.
You're hosting a book fair in LA, right?
Yes, I'm hosting a book fair this Saturday in the heat. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have one of those little fans that you can spritz the water on your skin.
Right.
You better believe it. It's going to be purple, which is my favorite color. And lots of other things. I'm going to be relaunching Speak Your Gifts and My Story Is Your Gift. My Story Is My Gift Soon, which is my courses. And just lots of other things that are brewing. And I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Well, Kim, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I'm glad we were able to make this happen. And just so I acknowledge you just for sharing your story so openly from the very start and really taking us on that journey and telling us how you got through it and how we might be able to do it too.
Yes, ma'am. I'm excited. Thank you so much for the support.
Absolutely. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. Now, before you go, what's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
Um, always just be, I call it being the youiest you.
Mm-hmm.
Be your authentic, perfectly imperfect self. Everything good has come to me when I just did me, and I didn't try to pretend to be anything other than my perfectly imperfect self. You'd be surprised how charming that is, how far that gets you, how brave and courageous you will seem, and how much of an anomaly you will be because you're not being like everyone else. You're just being you.
The youiest you.
Yes.
I love it.
Kind of I think Dr. Seuss.
It sounds like Dr. Seuss or Kim Coles. Either one. It's fine. Thank you so much. Hold on just a second.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kim Coles. I truly did. Kim, again, thank you. Now, to find out more about Kim, what she's up to, and where she'll be appearing next, you can go to supportissexypodcast.com and just search Kim. Kim. Her show notes page will pop up with all the resources, all the links, and all the ways to get in touch with her. And when you go there, make sure that you look for the link to the upcoming She Was Made Summit, where Kim is a keynote speaker on October 7th in Cincinnati, Ohio. Because, as promised, Support is Sexy listeners get a 50% discount on tickets. Use the code SBG code. So that's capital S, capital B, capital G, and then the word code all together. But when you go to Kim's show notes page, you'll see the link right there. You'll see the code right there. Just use it and you'll get 50% off tickets. So again, thank you to founder Gail Lee Gardner, who is putting on the She Was Made Summit. I know it's going to be fabulous. All right, so thank you all so much for listening. You know, I appreciate you. We're continuing to grow here at Support is Sexy. As you heard, we had a sponsor in this episode that I'm very excited about, especially the brands that want to support is Sexy, and who care about women entrepreneurs. So make sure that you go out, or go online in this case, and support them. But I appreciate you being here from the very beginning, or even if this is your first time. I'm happy to have you here. And as I always say, it would not be the same without you. Now, I want to make sure that you never, ever, ever, ever miss an episode of Support is Sexy. So what I want you to do, wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe. So this way, whenever a new episode comes out, it's there for you, available for you to listen one at a time. Some people binge. I love it. I'm happy to be there for you to listen to, but make sure that you subscribe. It helps to make sure you don't miss anything, and it continues to help the show to grow. So again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.